Jurors heard more testimony this morning as the trial of former Uvalde CISD police officer Adrian Gonzales continues. Prosecutors say his response to the Robb Elementary school mass shooting put students in danger back in May of 2022 when 19 students and 2 teachers were killed. A Robb Elementary school employee took the stand yesterday. She says she heard on the radio that a shooter was trying to jump a fence onto school property. She says she ran outside to warn the kids.
The announcement to you had been that there was a shooter?
Yes.
But wouldn't that pose a threat to you?
Right, but I wanted to make sure that the kids were in and safe.
Now, the defense says this witness is important as she would come face to face with the shooter and a police officer they believe was Adrian Gonzales. Well, this morning, retired Sergeant Daniel Coronado is expected to take the stand. His body-worn camera the day of the shooting has already been released to the public. Joining us now from Corpus Christi down in Nueces County, ABC reporter Peter Haralambous. Again, he's been covering the trial since last week. Peter, we saw you last week. Good morning to you. Walk us through what you've seen in court so far today.
Yeah, this has been some of the most important testimony for prosecutors between yesterday and today. Yesterday, we arguably heard from the prosecution's star witness, a teaching aide who said she tried to warn Gonzales, but he failed to intervene in these moments. And now the jury is hearing from Daniel Coronado. He was a police sergeant with the Uvalde Police Department, and he's testifying about the effort that he, Gonzales, Pete Arredondo, the police chief, did to allegedly enter the school that day. Defense lawyers have argued that his actions were really the heroic attempt to try to stop the shooting, whereas prosecutors have argued that he didn't follow his training in those moments. So this is some of really the most critical testimony for prosecutors.
Well, Peter, you've been covering this since it started last week, and you also talked about the sister of the teacher killed. She's now barred from that court after an outburst during testimony this week. What was the reaction to that inside the courtroom?
Yeah, I mean, this has been an emotional trial from the start, but I think that was really difficult for the families of some of the victims in the courtroom. They're hearing this difficult testimony, and that was really one of the first times we heard a pretty visible reaction from one of those family members. The judge actually had to tell the jury to kind of ignore what happened, and then he issued a warning to basically everyone in the courtroom. He said if there were any similar kind of outburst, that he'd have no choice but to declare a mistrial. This trial has been going on for 2 weeks, and at this point there have been 2 instances where we've gotten close to a mistrial. Since then, the families and everyone in the gallery appears to have been following that order, kind of staying quiet as this testimony continues.
Peter, what can we expect next as far as how many more witnesses jurors will hear from?
Yeah, so at this point, prosecutors have called 34 different witnesses. We expect them to rest their case by the end of the week. They may call a few more to kind of put some finishing touches on their case, but this is basically it. And at this point, we now expect a defense case to take place. They're expected to call their own witnesses. Their priority, we're told, is not only to defend their client, but to clear his name.
All right, Peter Haralambous reporting live for us in Corpus Christi. We appreciate your live reports. You have a good day. Well, testimony again resumed this morning at 9 o'clock. You can watch our live coverage of the trial on KVUE+.